Hey Sanford fans, welcome into this week's edition of the Sanford Sports Wrap-Up presented by Alabama Power. I'm John McAfoose today. I'm joined by Hal Langston, Executive Associate AD for Operations. Hal, I know you got a lot on your plate right now, a lot going on with basketball coming up, but I appreciate you making some time to come by.
Happy to be here.
Now in your 7th year with Sanford Athletics, just tell us a little bit about what brought you here. I know you're a native of the area, but you had a long career outside of athletics before this. What brought you to Sanford's athletic department?
Yeah, so after I finished college at South Alabama, I went to work for a company called Unilever, big consumer products company. And I was with those guys for 27 years. And so in 2013, they restructured the business and I found myself without a job. So as I tell people, they gave me a chance to do something else. And I was in that business a long time and I really didn't want to go back into it. So Joe Dean was the athletics director at Birmingham Southern at the time. Joe is a longtime family friend of ours. So I went and sat with Joe, talked to him a little bit about college athletics, and it appealed to me. So I started networking. I got to know Martin Newton. I got to know some of the other people here. And in the spring of 2014, Martin extended an offer to me and just took a chance on me. I had no college athletics experience. And I'll be forever grateful to Martin for taking that chance.
You were a college basketball player, though, at South Alabama, but when you were in college, you never really thought that athletics would be a potential career choice?
It didn't. It didn't. When I was nearing graduation, I started interviewing, and I interviewed with 2 or 3 different companies, and Unilever offered me a job, and I needed one. So I took the Unilever gig, and it worked out for me.
Talk about the role transition you've gone through over the last couple of years, because you were over the Bulldog Club for a number of years. Now you oversee all the business and operations areas, and a lot of challenges, I know, with basketball coming up as well. But how has that transition gone for you, and how did the opportunity to make that transition come about?
Yeah, it's been great. So you're right. The first 4.5 years I was here, I've looked after our annual giving, which is the Bulldog Club. And the experience I had at Unilever in sales was transferable into fundraising. So I looked after that, and that was a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of people, a lot of Sanford people, and really got to appreciate what this place is all about. And then in February, almost 2 years ago, Martin asked if I would take on a new role, which would be to look after our financial and facility operations. And I was excited about it. I was looking forward to a new challenge, and took the role.
Again, a lot of challenges related to basketball setup. Just talk about, from an operations point, what the challenges have been with the court setup to make sure we keep a safe environment for both the teams and the spectators.
You know, the NCAA and the Southern Conference are working through game day protocols for basketball and other sports as well, but basketball is the one we're talking about. So and it involves the ground floor of an arena where teams are, and trying to keep those teams in virtual bubbles. And so we've taken a look at our ground floor and how we do things, and how we're going to do things on game day to keep them safe as possible, separated. And then we'll have protocols up on the concourse level for our fans. We are marking the arena for physical distancing. The arena holds 5,000 typically. In a COVID physical separation environment, it holds just under 1,000, and we're getting ready for our first home game on November 25th.
Looking forward to that. You do still oversee the S Club as well, the official letter winners club of Sanford Athletics. Just talk about the importance of the S Club in keeping former student athletes involved long after they graduate.
You know, that's one of the most favorite things I get to do is to work with our S Club. So we've got a board of directors who are all obviously former Sanford student athletes, and they help guide us and shape our direction. But it is important, and I think I know Martin wanted. We started the S Club back, kind of reinvigorated it about 5 years ago, and it is to keep our former Sanford student athletes as connected as possible to each other, but also back to Sanford. And it was really something we weren't doing a good job of, and we want to make our former student athletes feel like they're welcome here, and that's because they are. And we want to get as many of them involved here as we can.
And finally, let me ask about the Hall of Fame. I know we were supposed to induct the newest class back in this previous spring, but of course COVID changed the plans for that. Looking forward, what is the next step? Just give us a little bit of an update on the Hall of Fame.
Right, so we did. We selected the class of 2020 about a year ago, and we were going to induct them, as you mentioned, last April, and COVID got in the way. So right now we're trying to select a date in April. Or May, so we're not quite decided yet, but the goal is to induct that class. We'll skip the class of 2021. Once we get the class of 2020 scheduled, we'll focus on 2022.
Wow, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, John.
Hal Langston, Executive Associate AD for Operations. I'm John McAfoose. That'll do it for this edition of the Sanford Sports Wrap-Up presented by Alabama Power.